Yeah, in other words, we're being told to eat half the protein that we really require.
How much is that, I guess, in pounds?
Yeah, so how much do you weigh?
Right now, 245.
Okay, so that would, for you, you should be eating at least 200 grams of protein a day.
Is there a maximum that is
Yeah,
inefficient?
It's not, yeah, so there's two issues. So 3 grams per kilogram would be considered
Too much.
too much. So in your case,
350 grams of protein a day or something.
yeah.
And what if I did less? What if I did 100 grams of protein a day, say for a year? Would I not be able to put on muscle?
You'd have a very hard time putting on muscle.
Would the muscle size it'd be hard, or the muscle strength, like the quality of the muscle strength?
Yeah, probably, but clearly size at 100 grams a day. And it also, but of course not all 100 gram a day. You could have 4 people eating 100 grams of protein a day and they could get different results depending on the protein source, right? So, plant protein is going to be less efficient than animal protein. It's less bioavailable. If you ate all of that protein in one meal versus someone who spread it out across multiple meals, the person who's spreading it out is going to get more efficiency.
Really?
But if you spread it out too much, so 100 given as 10 grams every 2 hours is an awful way to give protein, because the liver is going to utilize a lot of it for a process known as gluconeogenesis, which means turning protein into glucose. You don't want that. If you were going to only eat 100 grams of protein a day, you'd probably be best off going 30, 30, 40 or something to that effect.
And at 200 grams, so what is the...
So at 200 grams per day, you're probably looking at 50 4 times a day is the optimal dosing.
Wow. And that will support me in maintaining my muscle strength, maintaining my muscle mass as well.
Yep.
And the ability probably to just recover faster, sleep better, train better.
Well, and it's also, it's a very important nutrient. It's also, a satiating nutrient. And
makes you less hungry.
Yeah. So it's going to provide more satiation, because, the challenge with nutrition is, for many people, they're kind of what I call overnourished. They have more fat on them than they need, but under-muscled. That's probably the most common body type we would see right now in America, is not enough muscle, too much fat. So that's a complicated problem to solve nutritionally, but an important one to solve, because you have to reduce total energy intake while typically increasing protein.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So you've got to eat more protein, less carbs and fat to make that work.
What is the obesity number at right now in America versus the world?
Don't think I could tell you the world number at the moment. Obesity in the US is probably a little over 1/3 of the population now.
1/3 of the population.
Yeah.
And what is the determining factor of obesity?
Yeah, it's a crap definition. It's defined by BMI, body mass index over 30 kilograms per meter squared.
Got it.
I think that's a weak definition. I understand why it's used. It's basically easy to measure. All you need to know is a person's height and weight, but it's pretty useless because it doesn't take into account body fat, and muscle is quite heavy. So you can have a person who's quite lean, muscular, and they're overweight like I'm significantly overweight by BMI, but by body fat I'm not. So I think actually a more helpful definition, and if someone's just thinking about this, like, hey, do I need to be worried? It's take your height and your waist size, your circumference of your waist, actual measure, not your pant size, and divide them. If your height divided by your waist size is more than 2, that's a problem. So if you're 6 feet tall and your waist measures more than 36 inches, that's probably a better indication of you being obese.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's not that. That's good. I'm 6'4" and I have 34 waist, so hopefully that's okay. Yeah. I got to get down a little bit more, but okay, this is interesting. So more protein, what I'm hearing you say is animal protein is better protein, or
it's more efficient protein.
More efficient protein.
So I think people get so hung up on this whole plant animal nonsense. I just,
You work with the science.
Yeah, let's just deal with the science, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't want to eat animal protein, that's fine, but you just have to acknowledge if you're going to eat vegetable protein, you're going to need more of it. You're going to probably need to cook it, and you're going to need to be more fastidious and deliberate in paying attention to the types of amino acids. There's 20 amino acids, and you're going to have to pay a little bit more attention looking at, how much methionine, how much leucine, how much lysine am I getting? So again, you don't have to eat animal protein. It just makes your life easier. If people eat animal protein, we give them guidance on total protein intake. When people only want to eat plant protein, we give them guidance on both quantity of protein and quantity of specific amino acids. And both can work, but
Right.
the latter just requires more effort.
What are the 3 most efficient types of meat to get the protein that you need, do you think? The most quality types of...
Well, I'm privileged and biased at the same time, right? Privileged because I get to eat wild game most of the time. So most of my meat is venison and elk, both of which are wild game. So this has the advantage of having a much better nutrient profile than pastured or grown meat. Unfortunately, not everybody is going to have access to that, either because they don't hunt themselves or they don't know people who do, or, in truth, it's more expensive. I mean, unfortunately, our food system is pretty broken. And based on the way that we subsidize food, we've created a really perverse economic incentive for people to eat very low quality food. The only thing I would offer on that statement is that, we all have disposable income that's going to go somewhere. I think we should really emphasize the quality of our food as a worthwhile thing to splurge on.